Getting ready for your IELTS reading test? Let's take a look at the 3 sections of the IELTS reading test, what type of questions you might find, and look at some strategies and tips to help you ace your test. Hello and welcome back. My name is Claire, and in this British Council IELTS preparation video, we're going to look at the IELTS reading test. We'll focus on the question types you'll see in the IELTS Academic Reading test. There are quite a lot to get through, and we'll also work on the best strategies to improving your band score. Let's start by quickly going over what to expect on test day. The reading test lasts 60 minutes and includes 3 sections. Each section has different reading passage, and you'll answer 40 questions. If you take IELTS on computer, remember there's no additional time given as your answers are saved as you move through the test. Time management is important to avoid running out of time at the end. There is 1 reading per section of the test. Spending 15 minutes on section 1 is ideal. Sections 2 and 3 present more challenging and complex material, so reserve around 20 to 23 minutes for each. The IELTS academic reading text will be academic in style, but won't be full of technical language, so you won't require any specialist knowledge. The material you may encounter includes extracts from books, journals, newspapers, and professional magazines. The topics usually touch on things like history, science, or other wide-ranging, but not overly specialized areas of study. As we know, the topics can vary. The key thing we can focus on is knowing what type of questions we can expect to see. We have quite a variety of question types to understand, 11 in total. So let's break them down and look at some examples. Something that I will repeat and that is extremely important to remember throughout your IELTS reading test: you must read the question carefully. You may notice that certain question types are presented in various formats or with different rules. Be mindful not to lose marks because you didn't read the question correctly. For instance, you may need to choose 1 answer from 4 options or 2 answers from 5 options. Read those instructions. Multiple choice questions typically present a question or the beginning of a sentence followed by 4 potential options labeled A, B, C, or D. Your task is to carefully read the questions and select the correct option. Occasionally, there might be additional options requiring you to choose more than 1 correct answer in certain cases. This is why it is vital that you read the instructions very carefully. I know I sound like a broken record, but I just want you to do your best. Now let's chat about the second type of question, identifying information. In this question, you'll encounter a list of statements with the question. Do the following statements agree with the text? Your task is to read the text and decide whether each statement is true, false, or not given, based on the information provided in the text. Notice how I said in the text. You should make the choice solely based on the information provided in the text. Answers based on general knowledge is an absolute no. Another key point to watch out for is understanding the distinction between false and not given. It's crucial. If the statement contradicts the information in the text, meaning it's the opposite of what's being said, it is marked as false. When the text lacks the necessary information to answer the question, the statement is marked as not given. With the next type of question, we must pinpoint the writer's views or claims. Similar to our last question type, you'll be presented with a list of statements and the question asked, do these statements match with what the writer thinks or claims? You must read the text and select yes if you think the writer thinks or declares this, no if you think the writer thinks or declares the opposite of this, or not given if the text doesn't clarify the writer's views on the statement. Again, be mindful of the difference between not given and no, and don't let any prior knowledge of a topic influence your answer. Only use the information in the text. Let's move on to matching information. You'll find a list of sentences related to the text. For each sentence, locate the paragraph or text where this information or idea is mentioned. Your task is to match each sentence to the paragraph or text which mentions that information or idea. In the IELTS reading section, paragraphs are lettered for easy reference. So for example, the first paragraph will be paragraph A, the second paragraph will be paragraph B, and so on. Be aware that multiple sentences might connect the same paragraph. So yes, I will mention it again. Read the instructions carefully before you start. Next, we have matching headings. In these questions, you'll face a list of paragraph headings. For each paragraph, you have to find the heading which matches it best. But be mindful, there will be more headings than paragraphs, so some headings will not be used. Also, a quick tip is to be aware of subtle differences in meaning between the headings and the content of the paragraphs. Matching features is another question type to familiarize yourself with. You'll find a set of statements or pieces of information alongside a list of items from a specific category, such as various people, countries, or historical periods. You are tasked with pairing each statement with the item that matches it best. The last type of matching question is matching sentence endings. You will come across a list of sentence beginnings and an even longer list of sentence endings. The aim is to select the correct endings to complete the sentences that describe information provided in the text. A good point to note is that the questions follow the same order as the information in the passage, so you won't be jumping all around the text to find your answer. Now moving on to some completion style questions. This question type focuses on completing a sentence. You'll have a list of sentences summarizing information from the text. What you need to do is to complete the sentence by filling in the space with words and/or a number. Words must be from the text. If you use a synonym, you will lose marks. Pay close attention to the word limit mentioned in the instructions. Yet again, read the question and instructions in detail before you begin. How many times have I mentioned it? It's important. On our next question type, completing a note, a table, flowchart, or a summary. In this question, you need to fill in the blank space provided with the appropriate word or words. You may be instructed to use no more than 2 words and/or a number, while in other tasks, the word count may vary to 1 or 3 and may or may not include a number. Therefore, you must give the instructions your full attention before starting. Words have to be from the text, so you do not use a synonym. This will cost you marks. Almost there. Next up is diagram labeling. The diagram may be a type of machine, part of a building, or other information in the text that can be shown through pictures. Your task is to fill in the labels. Typically, a list of options goes alongside it, from which you must select the correct one to complete the labels. In most instances, this list of options is located right next to the diagram to make things easier for you. And yes, I know you know it by now, definitely read the instructions before you begin. And last but not least, we have short answer questions. You'll be provided with a list of questions and you have to locate the precise details in the text. The specific word count you need to write is outlined in the instructions. Surprise, surprise. Any guesses what you need to do before you start? Read the instructions. The first thing to make a mental note of is that as the texts are academic in nature, there may be some technical vocabulary. Don't stress though. Technical terms tend to be marked with an asterisk, making it easier for you to identify. There will be a small glossary that will clear up any confusion. It will provide the definitions you need, so look out for it when you're reading the text. Also, try to avoid losing marks by making mistakes with spelling and grammar. Make sure to review what you've written if you have some time at the end. Learning to skim and scan effectively can save you a lot of time in the IELTS reading test. These are skills that you can work on and improve. Skim through the text to grasp the main ideas quickly, and scan for specific details when answering questions. This way you can use your time most effectively. Time management is also super important, as there is a lot to get through in 60 minutes. Here's a suggestion on how much time you should allocate to each reading section. The first section frequently focuses on factual information and tends to be more descriptive. It's a good idea to spend around 15 minutes on this part. The second and third sections generally have more challenging material, with at least one text containing detailed logical arguments. As the material is more challenging, it is recommended to reserve around 20 to 23 minutes for each. Remember, these are approximate guidelines, and it's up to you to adjust the time you allocate accordingly to your personal strengths and weaknesses. Highlighting keywords in the question and text can make all the difference. This makes it easier for you to refer back to vital information or points when answering questions, and make sure you don't miss something important. Paraphrasing is another skill to work on. Recognize that IELTS reading questions frequently present information in paraphrased forms, meaning that you might not see the exact word from the text. Mastering this skill is crucial for accurately tackling a variety of question types. Regular practice and building vocab as well as understanding context will ensure this skill is improved. Be on the lookout for synonyms and alternative expressions too. Now we are a step closer to nailing our reading test. Practice with reading questions, get used to a range of materials, and dive into vocabulary related to academic tests. I'd recommend watching this video again if you find yourself a little confused about the question types. If you need some further practice for your reading, then sign up for IELTS Ready and get access to free mock tests. There are also useful tips to help you in your IELTS test and opportunity to improve your vocabulary with additional activities. You can find the link in the description. Thanks for watching. If you'd like more videos to prepare for your IELTS test, why not take a look at these? And don't forget to subscribe. Bye for now.